the science evaluation room that's right upstairs. And so it's so gratifying to see this operation structure come to fruition, especially on a day like today.
I would have to imagine so. And we've got a great view of the science evaluation room right now. Is there anything that has stood out to your team so far?
Absolutely. So as you might have heard in some of the press briefings and content that, we've been putting out, color and albedo were really exciting targets for us. We've heard several amazing color descriptions so far. Just to highlight maybe one of them, we heard about greenish and brownish hues near Aristarchus, which is actually a feature that we can see here from the near side. And those greenish hues could actually tell us something about the volcanic evolution of that area. So you can bet that the science team is going to be prioritizing downlinking those images and the crew audio that we didn't hear that went into those recordings to learn a little bit more.
Wow, that is fascinating. I was hearing those colors and very interested just from a personal standpoint, because looking at the moon from, 250,000 miles away, we don't see green or brown. So just hearing that, them being so close and getting to see that, fascinating, and I know very exciting for you. So what are you expecting to see in the upcoming portion of the flyby?
The upcoming portion is actually going to be really exciting. So right now, as we speak, while folks in the room are kind of taking their, their stretch breaks and everything, the crew are still hard at work. They still have targets to image and describe during this LOS. But when we come out, the first thing, of course, we're going to hear about is Earthrise. We're really looking forward to hearing about the crew's experience with something that we can connect with and that, Apollo 8 brought us such amazing images from. But then we start to get into describing the Terminator, as well as looking for things like lofted dust, which tell us about the modern lunar environment. Then the vehicle's going to orient away from the moon for an hour and then pivot back for the eclipse observations, which is a whole different set of science observations that we're really looking forward to.
It's kind of nice that the crew will get a little break in there, because they have been hitting it hard today with photos and videos and annotations. What are you hoping that the crew sees coming up? Is it that lunar dust?
Oh my goodness, that's a hard question to answer. I mean, we've already gotten such great descriptions. I mean, the Terminator seems to just be like one of their favorite things to look at and describe. So I feel like, that was something we were looking forward to. I feel like we really got some great descriptions. So absolutely, I'm looking to the human moment of Earthrise. Lofted dust is an exciting one, and lofted dust will be a target for them in the right around the time of Earthrise, but again in the eclipse period. So I'm really looking forward to seeing. I mean, they've already highlighted just in the course of their flyby so far how the moon has changed, and this is going to be even more dramatic change to go from their end of this kind of lunar illuminated piece of the flyby into the eclipse time frame. And I can tell you they're going to be experiencing a very different moon during that time, and I can't wait to hear what their observations are.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating, and what an privilege that we get to do that on this mission, because that's not always the case. If we had launched on a different day other than April 1st or 2nd, we wouldn't have gotten to see that eclipse. Is that right?
That's correct. April 1st and 2nd. I will say, I was asked a lot in the weeks leading up to the launch, well, what's your favorite day? And my answer truly was, there is no bad. We were going to get great science out of it no matter what. But it's a really neat opportunity to, bring.
Hello, Toast. Hello, Jeannie. I'm gonna get the Seestar ready. Unfortunately, we will not see the moon till after midnight, and any expectation of seeing Orion from here is not gonna be a reality. Not with the Seestar, that's for sure. And with the toilet not working yet, I don't know if we'll be able to see much around the space station, but we will see. We will have a NASA feed on when they come back from behind the moon. I don't know if you saw the first pictures of the back of the moon. Apparently, they saw a Dollar General there, and one big billboard advertising whatever, casualty law attorney, injury attorney. So they are already in the back of the moon. They got there before us. They have stations. We have stations all around the globe. Toast. My surprise is that they did not make a serious attempt to bounce the signal of any other planet out there and still get them live even at low data rates. But hey, I will put on Dr. Garcia, put her back on while I set up Seestar here.
Twice, and that looking at it from different illumination angles allows us to understand that feature better and connect color and albedo with topography and morphology. Then you have other craters where you want to look at it with the sun shining on it obliquely versus straight on, and that tells you something different about the scientific objective that drove the target being on the targeting plan in the first place.
We've talked a little bit with the viewers today about what the crew is able to capture in this short time frame of those craters in different lighting conditions. Could take years for something robotic to be able to do based on attitude maneuvers and where the sun is at. So can you just talk a little bit about the importance of having both the robotic operation and having the crew?
Absolutely. We definitely don't want to minimize the impact of orbiting spacecraft. Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter is the one that's often referenced. Data from LRO and its payloads have really been instrumental in getting us, frankly, to this point for Artemis 2 and future missions. But the human experience, the crew observations that we've already been hearing about, it is such a perfect complement to the orbiting spacecraft data because they are able to have this unique perspective. They are far enough away where they can make these contextual observations. You've already heard it. How many times have we heard the crew and their science sit reps say, if I track this feature from all the way up here in the northern hemisphere down to the southern hemisphere, here are comparisons I can make. That right there is not something we had the ability to do with the Apollo missions, and it allows just literally in the blink of an eye to synthesize observations that it would take, a really significant effort to coordinate with different orbiting platforms, and they're making it like that.
Wow. It has been very, very exciting to hear all of their calls so far. And so I've heard they were able to capture every single target so far too. Is that correct?
I think that's correct. And I think it's important also to remember that, and I know the science team is anxiously awaiting this, we've been hearing from the crew members who are not at the forward windows, right? Those crew who are, really in the thick of the observations, they are recording minutes-long observations per target on their crew tablets. We will be getting those down starting here in a couple hours, and that's going to contain really meaty science information that we haven't heard live yet, and that's going to form the basis of my conversation with them tomorrow morning, where we're going to have a really deep dive into the science and absolutely nerd out about what they were able to do today. One of the most gratifying things for me today is hearing multiple crew members say, thank you for putting the discussion times in the targeting plan, because when we have had the ability to put multiple brains on a problem, we have elevated each other, and I'm looking forward to them, sleeping on it overnight and then us actually being able to really truly have an elevated science discourse tomorrow.
Well, we're looking forward to it too, and I cannot wait to hear everything that you guys get to learn overnight from some of those audio recordings and just everything that they'll be able to share tomorrow. So, Kelsey, I know you are very busy. You've done a great job today, and thank you so much for joining us for this interview.
Thanks for having me. It's such an exciting day.
We are now expecting acquisition of signal in about 24 minutes. As a reminder, the Orion spacecraft has flown around the other side of the moon, where they are out of contact with our deep space network. And we just heard confirmation here in Mission Control Houston that we have reached the closest point of our destination to the moon at MET 5 days, 25 minutes, and 34 seconds. And we anticipate the spacecraft's altitude is approximately 4,067 statute miles above the moon.
Toast, yes, we have relay satellites, but not behind the moon.
They are continuing to take pictures of the of the moon. They're now out of sight. What they're in right now is a crew choice event. The science team has encouraged them to find interesting features on the surface, to take photos of those, and describe why they were interesting. Something else that they'll be looking toward next, just momentarily, is the impact.
Schrodinger's basin. Don't know if it's there or if it's not. Hi, Jeannie.
Expect to regain communications with integrity in the astronauts for Artemis 2. Mission Control Houston and at the Johnson Space Center, but there's a team over 750 miles away also monitoring today's operations. And of course, just like us, they are in the LS with loss of signal with the spacecraft. This is LUCA, the Lunar Utilization Control Area. And it's joined by Lisa, the Lander Engineering Support Area, with our twin control rooms.
I like their blue lights. Yeah, please try it, Jeannie. It'll be interesting if you see a dot streak near the rim. We are going to be on the moon when it rises tonight. I like the blue lights, but we prefer red lights here. We in Pompey prefer red lights over blue lights. Looks like we have a break in the clouds, but the forecast says by the time the moon rises, get that, it'll be snowing here.
We now expect reading communications astronauts aboard Orion in about 7 to 8 minutes. Meantime, a little overview of how our crew members flying back to the far side at an altitude of between 4,000 and 9,000 miles are testing the capabilities of the Orion capsule. Our altitude visualization leader, right now, detailed topographic maps of the lunar terrain way for future exploration of the moon's surface and beyond.
The most exciting thing to do is just return to every 50 years. You and I are going to see parts of the moon that haven't been seen by anyone before. It also commits us to exploring the solar system in a way that we haven't. And I think it provides an opportunity for younger generations to...
These are parts of the moon that had never been seen before, but they already have named the craters.
Artemis is now returned to the moon after 50 years. The emphasis of Artemis is going to be, first of all, science, but second of all, learning to sustain a presence on the moon, first on the moon, but we're hoping that that's a stepping stone to Mars and other destinations in the solar system eventually. Artemis 2 will be a flyby mission. It's not going to land. We're testing all of the technology that we've created for flying since Apollo. A lot of systems have been modernized, and we need to make sure that all of those work. Astronauts will be looking out the window at parts of the moon that have never been seen by human eyes before. They will be flying by the moon at an altitude that's much higher than Apollo's orbits, and so they will see the entire disk of the moon, including areas that are closer to both the North and South Pole that astronauts from Apollo never saw. All of that depends on the lighting, which we really won't know until launch day, but we can practice with different lighting scenarios. It's hard for people to sort of picture it in their mind. If you can make a movie that helps everybody choose the targets and also practice aiming at those targets. The astronauts have actually been looking at these visualizations through the lens of the camera and practicing aiming at various targets. It's a map of the surface of the moon, obviously, but it shows what the Apollo astronauts could see in sunlight. North and south are places they couldn't see in sunlight either because it was nighttime there or because it was beyond the horizon of the astronauts. The Apollo flights orbited the moon at because the astronauts were flying their horizon was actually quite close. And this whole area over here was in sunlight at the time. And it includes this amazing impact feature here. Orion is a very large impact feature. It's about 650 kilometers wide. It's got multiple rings. These are rings that form like palms from the impact. Of course, it's on a huge scale. The middle of Orion has solid water covering it, like the dark spots that we see on the near side. It's one of the biggest ones that's far side here. So seeing it with human eyes and sort of picking up features that maybe we don't even see in robotic cameras is an important mission.
Its evaluation room will be third here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, just down the hall from where we're at in the Upper Machine Control Room. Teams continuing to monitor the flyby.
Jeannie, there is something I have not shown you yet, which I will show you now.
We expect to hear from them in 12 minutes and 26 seconds. Again, this is approximately 40 minutes loss of signal while they are out of the deep space network. Right now, they are imaging or attempting to image lofted lunar dust. Throughout our coverage, we've talked a lot about the science and engineering behind today's lunar flyby. We also spoke to the crew about what the moon means to them and how they see its place in human history.
Being a little kid lying in bed at night, looking out at the moon, and whenever phase I was in, I was saying, frankly, lived like 20 miles away. I couldn't see a thing. And then when I was in the Navy, I would look out at the moon, be halfway around the planet, and he's halfway around the planet where I am. And it's a connection of life on Earth. We can all look up and see that.
It represents history. It is a witness plate. Everything that's ever happened to the moon is still written on the moon. There's no processes of wind or change in the geologic processes like we have here. Change it. And it's something that's been telling and can be laid out the story of its own evolution.
That they refer to the moon as grandmother. And that's really neat because we all share that same moon. We all have seen the same side of the moon in different light conditions all our lives. And so it seemed very familiar to me.
They are displayed prominently at the entrance of my office, so anybody coming to see me will see them first on the way in. Thank you again.
And exploration and reaching. Inside our mission control here at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We are currently out of contact with when the crew flies on the moon. We use the Deep Space Network to communicate with the crew when they are you consider our non-stop communications during the time in which we live, this is even more striking. For these two crews, they're only currently communicating with each other. Now, I expect to regain those communications in under 9 minutes from now. Also, being out of communication, the crew is continuously capturing imagery of their predetermined targets.
The only thing still missing, Jeannie, is I need to put your name on them in the middle. Other than that, I like the way they came out. Sorry, the picture is a touch out of focus because I was too close. But I will email you a picture once I get one that is sharply in focus. In the meantime, clouds are dissipating. And the temperature here is finally 70 degrees inside the house. It's 30 36 outside, and it's going to start snowing a little bit later. We'll see if we'll see the moon.
To hear their voices when they get to the far side of the moon, and I can hear them talk about being the try to imagine it now, and in 2 seconds here, I'm thinking about it. Oh, now I'm gonna hold on a second. We have human eyeballs connected to a wonderfully smart brain our astronaut friends have. They are going to be able to observe the moon in multiple different ways. They can use their eyes, they'll look through their camera and snap pictures, and just looking out the window, getting that human experience. But during Apollo, the astronauts were so much closer to the lunar surface. Our astronauts are going to be doing a flyby at a higher altitude. So they're going to be able to see the whole moon on the lunar far side. That's a brand new, unique perspective that humans haven't been able to look at before. We are doing a lot of lunar geography training with them. They have study sessions and quizzes they can do that are
Hello, Pico. We're waiting to see if we can see the Orion from here. You should be able to see it before us. Do you have a telescope on the moon?
Just like being a geologist out in the field, they're telling us what they're seeing, looking for colors, textures, different morphologies, and comparing the region that we're having them look at to the regions that are around them. We have a science team that is planning the targets that are going to be observed, putting them all in the timeline of how they're going to be observed, and then taking the first look at the data when it comes down. The Apollo astronauts were only on the moon for 300 hours total, and they only went to the equator. That's like going to places that were safer landing sites, and they only saw so little, 300 hours total. And so we have so much more to explore and so much more to learn, and we are the beginning of the next generation that gets to start being a part of these discoveries.
Don't worry, Pico, they fixed the toilet.
We're not in the Artemis mission controller with Houston, but we are not the only room monitoring today's flyby. As you can see, this is the Seestar, the Science Evaluation Room. In the same building, it's just down the hall. It's a multidisciplinary science team supporting the Artemis super in real time, including experts in lunar geology, impact cratering, volcanism, polar science, imaging, and Science Officer Kelsey Young here on console today. She's serving as a primary interface between the science team and the flight controllers, ensuring the science priorities are represented during mission execution. Coming up on 1 minute and 36 seconds until contact Orion. Meanwhile, aboard the spacecraft has continued executing their flyby tasks. As we discussed earlier today, these activities have been precisely timelined, and this is the fourth of 5 blocks of time during which the crew will be observing the moon from Orion's windows. At this time, pilot Victor Glover and mission specialist Christina Cook are observing the moon at windows 2 and 3. One crew member is in window 2 with a blue shroud over the window, taking photos and using an 80 to 400mm zoom lens, while the other astronaut is in window 3 using their portable computing device, also known as a PCT, to make annotations. And both of those crew members are making audio recordings of what they are seeing. They are wearing headsets connected to their PCDs, and those audio recordings are being sent to the science team tonight. We are not hearing those live, however, one of them serving as the support. Right now, the support team members are Reid Weissman and Jeremy Hansen. Those team members are providing sit reps, situation reports, calling down a few times each hour to discuss what they're observing. And even though we're out of contact with them right now, they are still conducting those science sit reps as they'll be available once they come back around the moon. Situation reports include how the moon is positioned, any missed targets, or anything unexpected they saw. They're also including lunar target descriptions, any hardware issues, and their emotions and reactions. We are standing by to acquire signal from the Orion spacecraft.
The cloud that you're seeing here is the cloud that's here. Yeah, this cloud here. Uh-oh. There's the cloud there.
Mission controllers at Johnson Space Center being on preliminary contact with Orion, that acquisition of signal coming after a 40-minute
Hello, Noah.
during which the crew is flying
We're waiting for Orion to come back from behind the moon. And we're going to try to see later tonight if we can see a little dot. Looks like we have them back. And that's the Earth. That little crescent that you see is the Earth.
We are getting our first views from Orion after the loss of
We like you here, Jeannie.
Enjoy and take photos of Earthrise for themselves. And we expect to shortly. We do have good signal coming from Orion. Astronauts now other side of the moon and in contact with us on Earth. Their tasks for lunar flyby did not stop as they went behind the moon and now in contact with us. We anticipate during that time they were attempting to image some impact flashes, short-lived flashes on the lunar surface, which would be caused by impact bombardment and potentially even a lofted lunar dust. Right now, of course, they are taking pictures of Earthrise.
You probably heard all 4 astronauts are back from behind the moon. That's good news.
We have you loud and clear. Copy.
Integrity from Earth, our single system, fragile and interconnected. We copy. Those of us that can are looking back.
We are happy to say we copy.
Yeah, Jeannie, they said all 4 came back from behind the moon. We did not lose any. I'm surprised they don't have any portable telescopes with them like Seestar to get some live imagery for us. We have not seen any live video of the moon yet.
Astronauts aboard Orion. Christina Cook calling back to what she said just before translunar injection burn, that with this burn, we do not leave Earth, we choose it. The translunar injection burn served as not only what put them on this trajectory to fly around the moon, but what also committed them to splashing down in the Pacific Ocean on flight day 10.
Thank goodness for moon gravity that will shoot them back towards Earth.
At this time, the crew is entering an observation break. We expect this to last about an hour, and it's probably a welcomed break following their very, very busy day taking pictures, making annotations, making audio recordings, and communicating all of the wonderful things that they are seeing on the moon. This observation break is also partially due to the fact that we will be entering an eclipse later. This will be the first solar eclipse that humans have seen from the moon. The astronauts will need to wear eclipse glasses for the first 2 minutes until the sun is completely covered by the moon, and then they have additional targets that the science team is hoping that they will photograph. We will have communications with them during that eclipse time frame. Because of that eclipse, Orion's attitude must be changed right now so that its solar arrays are in the sun. This will help it charge the batteries needed to power it through that eclipse time frame. This view on your screen is a visualization. The spacecraft now 4,224 miles away from the moon, and that number will now continue to grow, while the number of distance from Earth, 252,699 miles, will continue to shrink all the way until our crew is back home.
Yes, Jeannie, they're going to see a solar eclipse up there. Let's hope they show it to us, because they've not been showing us much other than inside the cabin. Well, the NEAF is this coming weekend, the Northeast Astronomy Forum, and let's see if they're going to unveil an S70 or an S80.
Again, we are MET, mission elapsed time, 5 days and 58 minutes since the launch of Artemis II.
Don't know, Jeannie, because they have not shown us anything yet.
With the crew and the Orion spacecraft now entering a little bit of a break while they are out of visibility, or the moon is out of their visibility. The spacecraft will be reoriented to view the moon ahead of an upcoming eclipse. This current attitude maneuver helps charge the solar arrays and batteries aboard Orion that will power them through the eclipse.
Integrity, Houston. In mission control, all of your flight controllers and your flight director have flipped their Artemis II patches around. We are earthbound and ready to bring you home.
That's great. Great to see the light of day as we head back to
A very special moment just now in mission control ahead of the crew's flight to Kennedy Space Center, and during one of their last sims or simulations here, they visited the mission control team in Artemis Mission Control in Houston and brought us each a patch. Everyone in the flight control room has had these on their signifiers at their console. On one side of the patch that you've probably seen is the moon with the Earth behind it. Now that we've passed behind the moon and we are returning home, the flight control team has instructed everyone in the room to switch their patch around so that the Earth is closer and the moon is behind us. We are really looking forward to seeing the Artemis II crew, and the Capcom Jenny Gibbons did call that update up to the crew that the flight control team here has turned their patches around as was instructed by the crew during that last sim, and we are counting down the days until they get home. They are now 5 days, 1 hour, and 3 minutes mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. Joining me here in the room, Artemis Mission Control, I have Angela Garcia, Artemis II Science Officer. Thanks for being here, Angela.
It is an honor to be here. What a day. Everyone's been buzzing. I can't contain myself. So it's been a really awesome day.
So you're sitting on console at the science console now. Have you been in the SIR earlier today?
There's a lot going on. So I went here first, then I'm going to go there after.
All right, Integrity, we hear you. That was a little clipped, but I think we have a better link now. We experienced some blockage from a solar array. We moved it, and we are in bias tail to sun.
Okay, Houston, you're coming in loud and clear, and copy, we're in bias tail to sun now.
Affirm and Integrity, just so you know, we did not hear your response once we flipped our patches. Jeremy, we heard you call down, but you were clipped, and then we briefly lost comm. Glad we're back.
Okay, copy that. We were just excited that we got to share in that you, the MER, and Mission Control flipped your patches around, and that side of the patch is getting to see the light of day. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Our pleasure.
Okay, Angela, so can you tell me a little bit about your role supporting Artemis II and the science preparation for the mission?
Yes, so I'm one of the 3 science officers. So Kelsey's been on console all day. I'll take over kind of closer to the end.
Okay, I'm back. Hi, Bill. Jeannie, I don't think anybody is going to see a solar eclipse down here. They are positioning themselves behind the moon in such a way as to cover the sun, and then they'll have a total solar eclipse. They're a lot closer to the moon than we are from Earth. So they will have a much more total solar eclipse than we would from here. Bill, I don't know if you heard the good news, but all 4 astronauts made it around the moon. They confirmed that all 4 reappeared from the back side of the moon, which is good. We have crystal clear sky now, and soon we're going to hop on some objects with the Seestar. For those who will stay up late with me, we're going to try to see if we can see the Orion with the Seestar as it comes around the moon. It's supposed to be a tiny dot. Unless the toilet is working properly, then there'll be a tiny dot with sprinkles around it. Did you see the first picture from the back of the moon that somebody posted? They said they found a Dollar General there and a billboard with an injury attorney advertising services. But I am disappointed that they have not shown us anything yet that the cameras are seeing. Well, Pico is worried about going outside. Well, the last report said that they can do number 2, but they cannot do number 1 in the toilets. See you later, Jeannie. Yeah, the sky has cleared up completely now, which is good. Let me pull up Stellarium to see what targets we have.
Their communications and data during that time frame. So Angela, we were talking about analog environments. You were telling me about the classroom and getting in there and pretending who's Victor, who's Reed. Tell me more about this.
Yeah, it works pretty well. So you're going to do the plan how you expect it to be, and then once we finalize that plan, we'll give it to a completely new group of people and have them practice it, and then they'll be like, these steps don't make sense, and we'll reiterate on it over and over. Then we'll take it to a higher fidelity environment like the Orion mock-up, and we'll do the same thing because that volume is smaller, the window placement, their seating, what things have we forgotten with this addition of this environment. And then once we reiterate on that, we'll take it then, we'll give it to the crew and have them execute off of it during mission simulations. That's the highest fidelity that we can do before we send it to space. So this is the first time we've had to do this because we're
Are we likely to see the Orion spacecraft with the Seestar S50 when we look at the moon tonight?
Sounds like you're spotting something cool up there tonight. Oh, you're probably seeing NASA's Orion spacecraft. It's right up there tonight on the Artemis II mission. They're doing a close lunar flyby on April 6, 2026. So from Earth, it might look like a tiny bright dot hugging the moon. The Seestar bit? Maybe because its service module has these big solar panels that spread out like arms. Kinda starfishy if you're squinting through binoculars. Check these shots from the mission. That one's Orion gliding past the moon. See how the panels fan out? And here's the full setup. Those wings could totally trick you into thinking Seestar from below. If it's super bright, that's the sunlight bouncing off it. Cool catch. Grab a telescope if you can. It's way dimmer than any star you'd notice. Think around magnitude 8 to 9 during the lunar flyby, maybe peaking at 7 if you're lucky with sunlight glinting off those solar panels. That's telescope territory only, not naked eye stuff. For comparison, Venus or Jupiter can hit negative magnitudes, like -4, super bright. Regular stars in Orion's belt? Around 0 to 1, easy to spot. Even the faintest naked eye stars are about 6. Orion capsule? It's basically a moving pinpoint, fainter than most satellites like the ISS, which flares to -2 sometimes. Here, check this telescope shot from earlier in the mission. It's that tiny dot near the moon, nothing flashy. And yeah, from way out there, over 200,000 miles, it's just a speck against the sky. Cool to track if you've got a decent scope, though. Let's check if that's doable tonight. Yeah, with a decent scope, like an 8-inch or bigger, you've got a shot. But honestly, during tonight's lunar flyby, it's tougher than I first thought. From what pros tracked earlier today, around 377,000 kilometers out, Orion's showing up as a faint dot at about magnitude 16 or 17, way dimmer than 9. That's deep sky faint. Think galaxy hunting territory. Even Virtual Telescope caught it tonight with a big robotic setup, arrowed right here. See that tiny arrowed speck against the star field? Moon's blasting nearby, washing everything out. Makes it brutal for backyard gear. If you're set up now, track its path near the moon. It's moving fast, maybe half a degree per minute. Dark skies, no moon glare if you can swing it, and maybe a go-to mount to follow. But yeah, fighting chance? More like long shot unless you've got 12-inch aperture or better. For comparison, earlier phases, like April 2nd, hit magnitude 7 to 9, binoculars territory. Tonight? Nah, we're talking pro level. Still, cool to try. Snap a pic if you nail it.
Thanks, Ara. I will keep you posted.
Hit me up if you do, or if it turns out to be just a satellite. Have fun out there.
So Ara started by saying we have a fighting chance, and then she changed her mind. We'll see. Bill, we have image stars in the 16 to 17, yes. With the big, however, they did not have a bright moon right next to them. That is going to be a main concern, if we will see it next to the bright moon or not. Hi, Zena. I'm willing at this point to overexpose the moon and have it burn out half the image to see if we can get the little dot. Okay, here we go. For some reason, Stellarium thinks I'm on the other end of the Earth. Ara, how do I set my location in Stellarium?
Sure, let's get your spot set in Stellarium. Easy, just hit F6 on your keyboard to pop up the location window. From there, type your city or town in the search bar up top, like New York, and pick it from the list. Or click anywhere on that world map to zoom in, then choose a nearby spot. Want precision? Enter your latitude, longitude, and elevation manually in the boxes below. Use NS for lat, EW for long. Check the box for use current location as default so it sticks next time. Close the window and you're set. Sky should match your real view now. Here are a couple quick looks at what it looks like. If you're on the web version, it's even simpler. Just search or pick from the menu at the bottom. Let me know if it doesn't work.
I am not on the web version, I am on the Windows app, and F6 is not doing anything.
Got it. Let's fix that F6 issue. No worries. F6 can glitch on Windows sometimes, especially if your keyboard's funky or the window's not focused. Instead, just move your mouse cursor right to the left edge of the Stellarium screen, like hug the border, and wait a sec. A vertical toolbar should slide out. Look for the top icon. It's usually a little globe or map pin. Click that, and boom, the location window pops up. Same as F6, but mouse only. Here, check these shots. See how the left bar appears when you hover? If it still hides, pin it down.
Yep, got it.
Once
Got
it's
it.
out,
Thanks, Ara.
click that.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad it clicked. Happy stargazing.
Yeah, I know what's messing it up. It is taking our location from Starlink, which is putting us in the middle of Kansas. That's not good. Okay, we don't want location from network.
Gotcha.
Okay, we have changed the location now. It's not letting me change the time zone. It insists we are in Chicago time zone. We got the time right. All right, we got our Starlink working. Now we wanted to show us stuff. All right, we're not making progress. M3 is out there and M101 and the clouds are coming. Welcome back, Bill. Excuse my mega frustration right now. Stellarium doesn't want to talk to me. Okay, that's more like it. Let's see if it's gonna find Polaris or M3 without going to the wall first. Hello, John. Let's hope they show us anything. John, so far as I can tell, they have not shown us anything from the cameras from Orion. They have shown us visualizations, and that's about it. Did you hear what I heard? Autofocus failed. Oh joy. We don't answer why here. All right. No idea what this is, other than clouds. John, you were not here when they showed the picture of the dark side of the moon. Apparently there's already a Dollar General there and a billboard advertising an injury lawyer. This is impossible. Ever since the latest firmware upgrade, Seestar doesn't go anywhere without doing a full turn first, a full rotation. That is insane. Bill, we're expecting snow tonight. The answer is no, it has not all melted because we had snow this morning. We're getting more snow tonight. But it should melt by the end of the week. We are expecting temperature in the 70s. No, I saw the Seestar doing a full turn, full 360 degrees. Doesn't seem to know how to get anywhere without a full turn. This is a nice video, Pico. I like it. The rebuild of the igloo has been very slow because it is still snowing. There should be no noise from Seestar right now, Zena. I have no idea what it's doing. It has no idea what it's doing. System alert, this is new. Seestar failed to recognize the target. Well, thank you, Seestar. We used to have a system that worked. I'm trying to go to a place where I know the sky is clear with no clouds. Yeah, thanks, Bill. They're trying very hard to sell us a different telescope. Alright, it found a star. Yeah, good luck, Bill. Just for everybody's information, again, they're showing us a visualization that's not the real solar eclipse. We'll let them talk to us for a minute. Let me check, Bill. As soon as it lets me. Ara, what time will Orion have a solar eclipse?
Checking the next solar eclipse for Orion. Hang on. Hey, so Orion, the Artemis 2 capsule, is catching a total solar eclipse tonight, April 6, 2026. It'll start around 8:35 p.m. Eastern and run till 9:32 p.m. That's about 57 minutes of the sun totally blocked by the moon from their spot behind it. Pretty wild view. Corona glowing, maybe even some moon dust or meteors popping up. Nobody on Earth sees this one, only those astronauts. Here are a couple shots showing what they're orbiting near. Orion hugging the moon, Earth peeking out. Cool, right? If you're streaming NASA Plus, they might show live feeds from the cockpit.
Thanks, Ara.
You're welcome. Hope you enjoyed the eclipse peek. Anything else on your mind?
Yeah, why NASA is not showing us anything?
Good question. Let me check what's up with NASA right now.
Yeah, give them a call and let me know.
Let me check what's up with NASA live feeds. Yeah, NASA's keeping it pretty tight. Right now, the live feeds on NASA Plus and YouTube are mostly external cams, graphics, and crew audio. No direct cockpit video of the eclipse itself, because bandwidth's maxed out on telemetry and nav data while they're behind the moon. They lose signal for a bit anyway during that phase, so we're stuck with commentary like the corona's unreal from the astronauts. But check these shots. They're from earlier in the flyby, showing what Orion's windows look like with the moon right there. Kinda gives you the vibe. They'll probably drop photos later. NASA's teasing a downlink at 10:50 tonight. Hang tight. It's still wild just hearing them. Want me to pull up the stream link?
No, I have one word, one comment on what you just said, and that is rubbish. They have the downlink capacity. I'm able to stream live video at literally under 400 kilobits per second. They have plenty of bandwidth. Rubbish. That's what the British would say. Pico, that's the one word that my supervisor wrote a lot on my thesis when I was working there. Rubbish. All right, we have sky clearing a little bit better. Let's see if we can find M3 now. Oh, Bill wants to know what version firmware. Stand by. 7.18. Get that, Bill?
This is Artemis Mission Control. We are in a forward link LOS with the spacecraft. We're not able to send commands or communications to them right now. However, they could send them to us, and we do get spacecraft data. This is tracked as we are on the Deep Space Network. This is the network that we use to communicate with the spacecraft now that we are so far from Earth, over 252,000 miles. We are still in our lunar flyby coverage. The crew still have a very important and very exciting flyby milestone coming up when they will see a solar eclipse from the moon, the first humans to ever do so. Something that we also have to consider when it comes to our missions and launches is space weather. So since the Apollo 16 and 17 missions, there were some solar eruptions near that time frame that could have been dangerous to our explorers. Over those 50 years since those storms, the data, technology, and resources available to NASA have improved, enabling advancements towards space weather forecasts and astronaut protection, which is key to NASA's Artemis program to return astronauts to the moon.
Across our planet, billions of people depend on the invisible networks that connect us to space. Every day, those networks are at the mercy of our temperamental sun and the space weather that it unleashes across our solar system. That's why NASA's space weather program tracks.
No, Pico, I was talking about what Ara said. She said the reason NASA is not showing us any pictures from the outside is because they don't have the bandwidth. They don't seem to have any problem showing us videos of the astronauts inside. The bandwidth that it would take to show us pictures of the moon is going to be even less than that of the astronauts inside. So I said rubbish to her explanation that bandwidth was the issue. John, yes, it was expected because it was running a few minutes behind. YouTube must have inserted ads or something.
Identify what part of the sky they're looking at. This can help train future Artemis astronauts on what part of the sky they're seeing. This provides useful knowledge in challenging situations when they may need to rely on that information instead of instruments for navigation and orientation. Confirmation from teams here in the ground that we have reached the eclipse attitude, meaning Orion is in the proper position to observe it. The astronauts' break during this observation period is now over, and we are resuming their lunar flyby observations. The first of these is sunset. This is the solar corona that we'll be looking for. It's the outer atmosphere of the sun. The science team is also interested in if the astronauts can see polar plumes. These are thin streamers that project from the sun's north and south poles. Additionally, they're interested in seeing if the crew can witness coronal loops. These are arcs close to the sun's surface. And something else that we've previously mentioned is lunar dust. This is dust from the moon that is lofted above the lunar surface and illuminated by the sun. It was reported visible by Apollo astronauts.
There we go, we have a solar eclipse. No! Don't want visualization. Okay, that's better.
You're getting a live look from Orion as the crew observes a solar eclipse from the moon. And this solar eclipse is only visible to the crew on the spacecraft. It's not visible to anybody on Earth. The science team is interested in several different targets for them during this time frame. And we're personally looking forward to getting those images as well. Again, during the beginning portion of this eclipse, the astronauts will need to use eclipse glasses, just like we do from Earth, to safely view it. Once the moon has completely covered the sun, they'll be able to take off those glasses for almost an hour. Totality on Earth during a solar eclipse lasts only a couple of minutes. So this opportunity gives them a chance to look out into deep space and to look into see if there are other planets nearby.
Thanks for the guidelines for fixing space toilets.
What you're seeing right now is the solar corona. That's the outer atmosphere of the sun. And the science team is very interested in any images that the crew can capture of this. They're hoping that they'll take pictures and describe the visibility, color, and shape of the solar corona as a whole and its substructures, those plumes and streamers.
science, integrity in the blind. This is continues to be unreal. The sun has gone behind the moon, and the corona is still visible, and it's bright, and it creates a halo almost around the entire moon. But when you get to the Earth side, the Earth shine is already shown. I mean, almost seconds after the sun set behind the moon, you could see Earth shine. The Earth is so bright out there, and the moon is just hanging in front of us. This black orb out in front of us, in front of now, not the blackness, but the gray that blends and drifts into the blackness. We can see stars and the planets behind it. And Christina is in window 1, Reed is in window 2 with the long lens, and Jeremy is describing it in window 3. And it is quite an impressive sight. You can still see the horizon lit up brighter where the sun set on that side of the moon. It is bright, and Earthshine is very distinct, and it creates quite an impressive visual illusion. Wow, it's amazing.
While I have a minute without them talking, there is good news. We're likely to have clear skies again Tuesday night and Wednesday night this week, especially Wednesday night. If all goes as planned for Wednesday night, we might attempt a Starlink marathon, Messier marathon. See how many Starlinks we can catch in one night.
Again, you're looking at a live view from the Orion spacecraft on the Artemis II mission. Orion is now 252,125 miles away from us all on Earth. We're here in the Artemis Mission Control Room in Houston, Texas, and what you had just before we lost that view quickly was the corona of the sun peeking around the moon as the astronauts are entering a solar eclipse for this portion of the lunar flyby. We're now over 5,500 statute miles from the moon. That closest approach today was just about 4,067 statute miles away. And teams in the room beginning to get a little busier and filter in and out as we are stepping through a handover. The Orbit 1 team is handing over to Orbit 2, who will continue monitoring lunar flyby and all of the systems aboard the Orion spacecraft.
The dress code at NASA is slightly different from the dress code at SpaceX, obviously. We're glad you're here, Pico. Glad you have recovered. This looks like Venus up there, unless it is a light inside the vehicle. Inside integrity, don't know.
You're getting your last few views of the solar corona as the moon begins to take center stage and completely cover the sun. If you see that bright dot up near the top left of your screen, we think right now that that may be a part of the spacecraft, but we'll be sure to correct that if we end up figuring out later that it is something else entirely.
Okay, they think it is part of the spacecraft at this point. John, that is the ultimate plan, but
It
for
has been
now,
an absolute
honor to join you here today for the lunar flyby. For the first time.
but for now, I'm putting 2 feeds on one dish and see how that works. That's going to be my next test. Yeah, attempts to rebuild the current igloo have been frustrated by weather. And right now, I don't see any point in rebuilding it the way it was when it blew away. I have to find an alternative approach. Have not had a chance to test using it from inside the SkySat pod yet. Pico, we no longer have that extracted tooth showing up to give us a lecture. The latest firmware eliminated that on Seestar. The 1.662 gigahertz feed came in the mail, and I'm anxious to see what it gives us. Alright, M3 is all but done. Let's see what else is out there for us tonight. M13 is rising. That'll be fun to do shortly, but we have M101 and M51, and I like them. Yeah, a Starlink marathon will be fun to do. Good one. I mean, there is this stupidity. It's doing a full rotation to get from M3 to M51. If you just look at all the right ascension hours it's going through. Let me see if it has wrapped the cable around it yet. I've been getting the same error message repeatedly, and that is ID10T. Well, they're all coming to Rockland Community College for the Northeast Astronomy Forum. Jupiter is very bright, just beyond Orion. Orion the constellation, not Orion the spacecraft. So we have M51, and then we'll do M101, and then we'll drop down to M13 and M92 as they rise. I will not be going to NEAF. Too many things going on at home that I cannot go away from. John, that's my hope. Rumor has it that they have gone to a Seestar 3. I don't know if that was a joke or a reality. I have not seen any announcement from High Point Scientific or others about the latest. Last time around, a few days before NEAF, High Point Scientific was advertising the Seestar S50 for sale. So I'm keeping an eye on their website to see if they're advertising. We know that the S50 is no longer being built. Yeah, the only NIF telescopes that, sorry, the only Seestar telescopes that High Point Scientific is carrying are the S30 and the S30 Pro. Jeannie, that is correct. They are no longer making the S50. Hold on to yours. Because it's going to become a rarity. The S50 is a good telescope. That's why they stopped making it. John, I hope you're right. An S50 Pro will be worth looking at. If they go from a 2 megapixel sensor to an 8, that'll be nice. I'd like more glass. Orion's belt is very nicely visible on the Skycam tonight. But we lost Polaris and the Big Dipper, which shows the clouds moving in. And this is a very, very nice rendition of M51. I like it. Jeannie, if you have not imaged M51, you should do so. It's a very nice galaxy. Yeah, the sensor in the S30 Pro is the one I have on my 11-inch Celestron. It is the 585. Yeah, Noah, with the 585, we have a fighting chance of getting some planets with the Seestar, with the S50. Thanks, John. For some reason, Stellarium Web and Stellarium App are giving me different moon rise times. Yeah, Pico number 1 seems to be the problem up at Orion. They're doing number 2, but not number 1. Okay, what is the magnitude of 24P, and are we likely to see it tonight? Maybe doable. In about half an hour, we can attempt to look at 24P. Comet 24P Shumase. It's rising right now. Let me give it half an hour, and then we'll see if we can get it. Hercules is writing as well, M13, M92. And I'm trying to figure out who's that bright star there. Did not hear about maps. All the weather and news stations were talking about it being visible tonight, half an hour after sunset. Ah. What happened to comet maps? Did it burn when it came near the sun?
Let me check on comet maps real quick. Yeah, comet maps, officially C2026A1, didn't survive its close shave with the sun. It got way too close on April 4th, just about 100,000 miles from the surface, and the heat ripped it apart hours before perihelion. Astronomers caught the whole thing on Soho's coronagraph cameras. Started brightening up, then poof. Nucleus gone, just dust and a fading tail left drifting away. Here are a couple shots from that sequence, showing it closing in and starting to break up. Kinda dramatic. Most sun grazers like this fizzle out exactly that way. No big explosion, just vaporized ice and rock. Shame. It could have been a daytime stunner if it held together.
Thanks, Ara.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Ara confirmed. In the NASA visualization, they show a lot of stars out there. Why don't they just stick a camera out and look into the sky and show us the stars? Oh. Yeah, we got the moon around 1 a.m. here. I'm staying with it as long as clouds permit it. Otherwise, we'll see what tomorrow brings. By tomorrow, the Orion spacecraft will be far enough from the moon that I doubt we will catch it. Good idea, John. I should go make me some tea as well. We're gonna put Seestar on 101. The M51 is very, very beautiful. Go with burgers, Jeannie. One of my favorite meals is a burger with a fried egg on top of it. And then another burger on top of the egg. And hold the buns, no need for these. And if you want a balanced meal, add some bacon to it. Pico, none of the above. I watched Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the moon 21 July 1969 on a tiny black and white TV, as everybody around me was saying that this was fake, it was being filmed in Hollywood. I told them Jeannie is there and she knows that they're not filming it, so what's the point? Pico, I haven't had black pudding in a very, very long time. My sister used to send me black pudding from London when she lived there. Haven't had it in a long time, but that's okay. Seestar seems to be doing beautifully with M51. I'll be back with T to shift it to M101. In the meantime, I'll give you back NASA.
He's doing the best job, and I'm not going to try to add on to what he's doing. It's indescribable. No matter how long we look at this, our brains are not processing this image in front of us. It is absolutely spectacular, surreal. There's no adjectives. I'm going to need to invent some new ones to describe what we are looking at out this window.
This is just absolutely beautiful and inspiring to hear. And Victor, we suspect what you're seeing is Saturn and Mars. That reddish object is likely Mars. Good opportunity to look to the future of where we're going.
Excuse me, there is no way Mars could be this big.
Yeah, we can absolutely see the color of Mars. That's awesome. Okay, and from this vantage point, the 4 o'clock on the Earthshine side is definitely getting brighter, still no coronal structure.
Houston copies.
And we aren't able to distinguish which Mare is, but we can clearly see Mare in the Earthshine.
We copy.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas.
We have not seen an impact flash in the last 5 minutes.
Sounds unlucky, but you had a pretty strong start, so we'll take it.
And actually, right after I said that, right at the South Pole, near the South Pole on the Terminator, Reed just saw one.
Amazing. Integrity science, and as you look around our solar system neighborhood, you should see Saturn setting behind the moon right now.
We do. We've been watching it track close to the horizon, and it's right tangential to the moon at this moment.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. We are currently 5 days, 2 hours, and 44 minutes into the Artemis 2 mission, and we have about 11 minutes remaining in the eclipse at the latter half of the lunar flyby that the Artemis 2 crew is experiencing on board the Orion spacecraft. We've received several different call downs from the crew and questions up from the science officer here in Mission Control. One of the things that they said that they were able to see is Mars off in the distance, and then the science team also confirmed that they should be seeing Saturn setting behind the moon. They've also acknowledged seeing several different impact flashes, and these are flashes of lights from meteorites striking the surface of the moon. They've also mentioned the solar corona, which is the sun's outermost atmosphere. Here in Mission Control Houston, the Orbit 1 and Orbit 2 teams have officially completed their handover So the Orbit 2 team is now leading here in Mission Control, and that is being led by Flight Director Diane Daly, and the Capcom here in Mission Control will be Tess Caswell. And you can see there on your screen on the right-hand side is the Flight Director console, and Diane Daly is in the far right of that screen, and Tess Caswell, the Capcom or capsule communicator, is in the far left hand of that screen.
Okay, the light is continuing to grow in intensity. At about the 4 o'clock position on the, about the 8 o'clock position on the Earth-shine side. Saturn has set. Mars is tracking towards the moon's horizon.
Integrity Science, we copy, and we're starting to see it on the vehicle stream. Looking forward to any coronal observations you can share with us.
This is Artemis Mission Control. That view you're seeing on your screen is coming from the solar array wing cameras outside of the Orion spacecraft. And you can see the light starting to come into view as the solar eclipse period is starting to end.
Integrity, still no coronal structure at this time, just continue to grow in intensity.
Copy, Victor, and reminder, you still should have several minutes before the eclipse classes need to go on, and we can send you up a reminder when you're getting close to take your eyes away from the D5 viewfinder, but you should be good for several more minutes.
Copy, thank you, and yes, please send up the reminder. Thank you. Okay, we all think we're starting to see something. I believe the most popular term is baby hair. As the light grows in intensity and the horizon on this side becomes very distinct. You can still see Earth shine, even though the sun's brightness is definitely growing in intensity.
Love the description, Victor. I'm sure as the next couple minutes progress, more of those structures will continue to pop out.
I'm back with good tea.
This is Artemis Mission Control in Houston, Texas. The Artemis 2 astronauts on board the Orion spacecraft are currently observing an eclipse. And to the crew on board the spacecraft, the eclipse looks much like a total solar eclipse here on Earth, except the moon is much larger compared to the sun, unlike a terrestrial solar eclipse where the moon and the sun appear the same size in the sky.
We are definitely starting to.
So that's what they thought was Mars initially. Okay.
It's almost as if it were reaching out for Venus or for the Earth. If you've ever seen the spotlight off the top of the Luxor at night in Las Vegas, this looks like what that wants to be when it grows up.
Integrity Science, glad to hear you're following your training of tell it like you see it.
So far, it's pretty symmetrical. There are 2 or 3 streamers that are growing in intensity and in magnitude, and it's slowly starting to widen, starting to spread out across the horizon. Pretty amazing view.
And Integrity Houston, great words. Reminder for you, we are approaching the brightness level at which you should no longer be using the viewfinder on the D5.
Integrity copies, and thanks for the heads up.
This is Artemis Mission Control.
And I think we're seeing some directionality. Some of it is going in different directions because it appears to be moving and combining and recombining as it moves. It's pointing in different directions, and some of it appears to be going like down toward the south pole of the moon, but it's and then coming back together and going out towards Venus and the Earth. And depending on how I stare at it, it looks like one large structure, but then it definitely has wisps, and you can see 3 or 4 structures inside of it. It's like watching a flame. It's like looking at a flame, and stand by. And so it has some inherent movement. Now there's a very bright spot. There's a very bright spot in the center of it. There's a towering light of. There's a towering light, and then there were like 2 streamers that were going 30 degrees out from it, and now it is just extremely bright.
Houston, copies all.
Starting to get a little warm.
And we copied all. We wanted to remind you at this point on the eclipse glasses. Should be about time for those.
Houston, we copy all. We are in eclipse glasses. That was an absolutely spectacular, magnificent experience.
Thanks for the report. We sure wish we were there with you.
And if you just joined us, this is the Pompey Observatory from behind the moon. And we were hoping to catch a glimpse of Integrity, the Orion spacecraft, but clouds seem to have a different idea. As long as I can see stars in the sky, we're going to hang in there and hope to be able to get it. In the meantime, M101 is building on the Seestar, and we will keep the NASA feed live, at least for the time being. And we learned something else from the astronauts today, namely the sun is very bright.
This is
Hi, Isobig.
Control. There on your screen, you can see a live look inside of the SIR, or the Science Evaluation Room, here in Mission Control Houston, just down the hallway from the Artemis Flight Control Room.
Integrity Houston, back with you after a data rate change. Regarding the SAW-3 camera T low caution, no action for you. It just got a little cool during the eclipse.
Okay, we copy, and if you didn't copy my request for the mission summary to add about 20 new superlatives to help my vocabulary, I would appreciate it.
We copied it fantastically.
And Integrity Science, this is basically wrapping up your fly-by-day observations. I can't say enough how much science we've already learned and how much inspiration you've provided to our entire team, the lunar science community, and the entire world with what you were able to bring today. You really brought the moon closer for us today, and we cannot say thank you enough. And Science signing off, and can't wait to talk to you tomorrow morning.
To your entire team, Kelsey, to the entire NASA science team, you all really turned to when we shifted launch dates to April 1st, and you got the most incredible package together for us to go do some great science and some great, truly human experience moments here. And we were well prepared, and we appreciate all of you. And this is what we do best when we all come together and work as a team. So you all knocked it out of the park. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Beautiful words, Reed. Thanks so much.
And this is Artemis Mission Control. The lunar flyby observation period is starting to come to a close following that eclipse. And there on your screen you can see a look into the Science Evaluation Room, or the SIR, which is embedded within Mission Control to provide science input. And they provided that input throughout the live flyby operations today. They also have a back room called the Science Mission Operations Room that processes data, evaluates imagery, and supports rapid analysis. And then, of course, we have the science officer on console here in the Artemis Flight Control Room, which you can see a view there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. The science officer throughout the flyby operations today has been Kelsey Young, who is the Artemis Science Flight Operations Lead. And then to her left is Angela Garcia, who will be the science officer taking over for Orbit 2. And for the past 7 hours or so, the crew has been going through their lunar flyby observation period. And now they will wrap up that period and complete some final tasks and begin downlinking some of the amazing imagery that they've captured throughout the day, as well as some of the observations that they've recorded. And now on your screen, you're seeing a live look from the Orion spacecraft from those solar array wing cameras. The solar eclipse period ended just a few minutes ago, and during this eclipse, towards the end of the flyby window, it lasted about an hour, and it was when the sun was hidden from view behind the opposite side of the moon from the perspective of the Orion spacecraft and its crew. And during that time, the crew saw a mostly dark moon, and they used the opportunity to analyze the solar corona, which is the sun's outermost atmosphere, while it was visible. And then once the sun was completely out of view behind the moon, the crew looked for impact flashes, which they reported seeing multiple impact flashes, and those are flashes of light from meteoroids striking the surface of the moon. They also looked for dust lofting above the limb or the edge of the moon, along with some deep space targets, including planets, and they noticed Mars off to the distance, and we also saw Venus on one of the solar array wing cameras early on in the eclipse period. The crew also looked at parts of the moon illuminated by Earth shine, which is the sunlight reflected from the Earth when they come around toward the moon's near side at the very end of that flyby window.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, if you're just joining us, welcome to this special live stream in 4K. Unfortunately, the clouds are moving in on us. Astrospheric is not too hopeful at this point. We're still trying to image M101. And to the southwest, we still have a few stars showing. Jupiter is still visible at this point, but not much else. Bill, don't know if you were here when I mentioned that I received the 1.662 gigahertz feed, and I'm putting two feeds on the same dish, which I hope to test soon, to see if we can indeed pull 1.4 and 1.6 gigahertz signals at the same time from the same target or the same place in the Milky Way. Stay tuned, that's coming next. The weather forecast for the next 2 nights is promising. Wednesday should be crystal clear with the late rising moon, so we have a good opportunity to do things. I'm not going to attempt at this point to look for the comet. It's solid cloud in the east. Incidentally, the comment that they saw Mars, I do not believe it for a moment. That's going to be questioned. The big red U that they saw was the beginning of the end of the solar eclipse. There is no way that Mars could have looked this large from where they are. Not with the cameras that they are using. What they were showing was about a quarter of the size of the moon. A quarter of the size of the moon, to which they were very, very close. I mean, they're 5,000 miles from the moon, and the red thing that they saw was about a quarter of that moon. It was not Mars. It was an artifact of the camera catching the sun. But we're not going to get science, we're not going to let science get in the way of a good story. By the way, if you look at the 3D image of the solar system on the Sky Live, it adds a minor detail, namely Mars is at its farthest distance from the Earth and the Moon, and there is a little object between the two of them, and that is the Sun. So there is no way they could have seen Mars tonight from behind the Moon. Anyway. So just for curiosity's sake, Windows. This is what we have with there is Earth, Mama Earth, and there is Mars. And the Moon was somewhere out there, and they were behind it, staring at the Sun. Mars was not what they saw, and I highly doubt that Venus was the other thing that they saw. Anyway, back to fun stuff. Let me see where Venus is. Stand by, John. I can do that. Now, Jupiter would have been a possibility because it is out of the line of fire. No, Saturn is highly unlikely. There is Saturn. It places the Sun squarely between Earth and Saturn. The only planet that they had a fighting chance of seeing from there would have been Jupiter. Yeah, the rest of them, the Sun was squarely between them. Mars and Saturn is further out. Yeah, there is Saturn. Sun, Earth. Almost a straight line. Plus the equipment that they were using, the cameras, they're talking about a 400mm lens. That's not gonna cut it. John, they had delayed the launch because of weather. Are they back on? So Seestar is no longer stacking. NASA has completed its coverage. And clouds have taken over the sky. Astrophotic. Not looking good here at all on astrophotic. Let's see what... Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, what we are looking at is not just clouds. It is snow. So with great regret, I'm going to wish you all a good night. Thanks for joining me for a view of the back of the moon, the solar eclipse as seen from Orion. The good news that all 4 astronauts made it around the moon. We did not lose any. And the toilet is working again, and that is good. I don't think we're going to be able to see Orion fly by the moon tonight. I'm going to pack my scope before it starts snowing on it. We'll be back definitely Wednesday, possibly tomorrow, Tuesday night. But Wednesday night is looking very, very promising, and I will have a good program for us to keep us busy all night. In the meantime, so long from Pompeii.